Hi everyone, Chef Mark here at Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom with a special edition of In the Bag. What does that mean? I want to show you what's in my knife bag. Maybe you're familiar with the concept of chefs walking around with a bag full of knives. And I've been in the business for 30 years, and virtually every restaurant I've ever worked at, outside of maybe the first pizzeria I worked at when I was a kid, you bring your own knives, you bring your own equipment. I worked at one restaurant where I even was expected to bring a whisk, a spatula, tongs, you name it, literally every piece of equipment. This is just full of knives. So I wanted to share with you what's in the bag. Okay, so you see I have a shoulder strap here, and my bag opens like an envelope. I'm gonna spin this around, because here's the zipper that goes around this. I got a convenient little pouch in here. Got a sharpening stone. This is for honing. I have a peeler, a thermometer, wine opener, and a hat. And all of these things are things that I just, find that they come in really handy, particularly a thermometer if I'm doing a roast and I need to know the internal temperature. I like to always have one of these with me. And this is a sharpening hone stone that a chef friend of mine gave to me. I don't use it very often, but it's really old and he gave it to me as a gift. So I like to carry it with me to remind me of my friend. All right, I do have room in here for some pens. I kind of fall out of this bag, so I don't really carry as much pens and business cards in here, but it's designed for that. And then here we go, let's get to the good stuff. So I kind of prefer these heavy cloth bags. It folds back like so. It doesn't fold back all the way. I like that it only folds back enough that it kind of holds the knives in place. Now, I teach cooking when I go out to homes of Appliance Factory Fine Lines customers, and we do a hands-on cooking class. So my knife kit is kind of unique to that, because when I go, I bring the knives that everybody has a chance to use. And what I have in here is a variety of chef knives, mostly. Okay, so what I do have here is a big old carving knife. This would be for carving prime ribs, larger roasts, and to go along with that, a carving fork. This is really the only non-cooking school knife that I carry with me. I do have other knives that I use all the time, specifically boning knives for cutting meat. But I don't carry those with me because if I'm in somebody's home during a cooking class, I've done my meat production before I get there. I actually use my fork quite frequently for a variety of things, flipping big roasts over turkeys, chickens, that kind of thing. It just ends up being a really handy tool. Plus, oh, it's in tune, perfect C. All right. I use a panini knife or an offset serrated knife. If I'm, let's say, heating up bread for goat cheese fondue or cutting pizzas or something like that. I like this knife because it's pretty handy. I can chop and cut a lot of different things with it, but it's relatively small, and I like that I can get my hands under it. An offset panini knife or an offset knife is a really nice addition to any knife kit. This one's by Wüsthof. I don't know if you can see there. But Wüsthof is kind of my knife of choice. It's something that I've been using for years and years. I really enjoy them. I like their durability, so that's why I carry this. And then finally, onto my chef knives, and I have a lot of them. My main two chef knives, I have a Wüsthof chef knife. Now I've named this one, this is a Stabatha. The Stabatha has been with me for many years, again, a Wüsthof. And what I like about this is that it's got this bolster. See how it's got this kind of snowplow, as I call it right here? That would be as opposed to a knife like this. That's a stamped knife and doesn't have that snowplow. This is basically they stamp this knife out of steel, and then they drill through holes in it and clamp the handle to it. Where this one, the part of the handle and the tang are all part of the blade. So a little bit more sophisticated metallurgy in a knife like this. And these handles are dishwasher safe, but to be honest with you, I wash all of my knives through the dishwasher. I've had this knife since I was in culinary school, and I went to culinary school in 1994. This thing has probably been in and out of the dishwasher, I don't know, 100 times, 300 times, 1,000 times, I don't know, I've lost count. But for anybody who says you can't run a knife through a dishwasher, well, it's proof positive that you can. All right, so this is my Wüsthof, and this is my main knife. And of course, I let my cooking class students use my knives, but this would be the knife that I use probably 90% of the time. Conversely, I have the big boy, the jumbo knife. These are, believe it or not, the same knives. This is just the supersized version of it. I call this Leviathan. And I have a furious rant about this knife on my YouTube channel. The link will be below in the description if you want to learn why I have a knife this big. And this knife is very big and very heavy and overkill. But what I've discovered about holding this knife when I'm doing knife skills and knife classes, a lot of people are intimidated by a larger knife because they're, used to using, I don't know, dull steak knife or paring knife, thinking, oh, that's safer because it's not very large. So when I grab this big knife and I'm chopping along, for somebody who might not be accustomed to an 8 or 12-inch chef knife, this in comparison makes their knives really look more like a normal size. So I wasn't anticipating that being the advantage of having such a large knife to teach knife skills with, but indeed that's what happened. So honestly, when I'm doing cooking classes, I usually reach for this knife, just because I think it just puts other people at ease as far as just the size of the knife. A larger knife is safer, and I can go on and on and on about why, but I'm not here to talk about knife skills. We're here to talk about what's in the bag. So I got my extra large list off. I've got my normal list off. Then I have these knives, and these knives are by a company called Acero. And Acero is, I've only ever seen them at restaurant supply stores. The parent company is Winco. These are all brands that be very familiar to anyone who's a professional chef and works in a restaurant that has like a ton of commercial style equipment. But what I like about this knife is look how similar it is to the Wusthof. It's got the bolster, it's got the full handle. You can see, I don't know if you can see here, but the handle here is a little bulkier. It's a little less sophisticated of a shape. It's a little bulkier, the one here on the bottom. But here's the difference in price. This Wustof's a $150 knife when I bought it many years ago, and this Acero, 15 bucks. So, it's a great knife for anybody who's looking for a pro style knife but doesn't have a huge budget. And I gotta tell you, it holds up. It holds up very, very well. Does it require a little bit more maintenance? Sure. But for a cooking class, it's a perfect knife. And every once in a while, if I forget a knife at somebody's house, it's $15. If I forget this at somebody's house, I gotta drive back and get it. And if that's a couple hours away, round trip, that becomes a big liability in my time. So anyways, these Aceros are really nice. Another knife here. This is a Vitornix, and this is a plastic handle knife. Very similar to my wood handle Forstner. This is something that you would really see in like a pizzeria or just a kind of chain restaurant where they're sharpening the knives. A lot of these restaurants have a knife service. They come in once a week or once every 2 weeks, and they either sharpen the knives on the spot or they switch them out with basically a rental knife. I'm not quite sure where I got this. I must have picked it up along the way. If this belongs to somebody, I apologize if I accidentally stole it, but one day it just ended up in my kit. Here it is. So when last time I purchased one of these, they were about $25, $30. I'm sure the price is much higher now just because everything's more expensive, but not a bad choice. And also designed to be dishwasher safe because you can see there's no tang, there's no rivets, there's nowhere for water to seep in. Just a good knife. One thing I don't like about it is when you hold a knife with a pinch grip, these molded handles like this, or any knives that have a molded handle, like a Cutco, for example, it doesn't really feel as good as a knife that doesn't have a molded handle. This one's not bad, but even that kind of gets in the way. Whereas a professional style knife, when you put your middle finger against the back of the knife, you can see it really just lets you choose where you want to hold the knife. So that's, I think, the best choice, and that's why I like this knife the best. So that's what I have in the bag. Oh, one last thing I almost forgot. A sharpening steel. This is arguably the most important piece in any knife bag or knife set. The sharpening steel, and it's actually not really for sharpening, it's for honing. So as you use a knife, it gets duller because the edge gets pushed left or right, or you get burrs that form like this. So what this does is it straightens out your blade and removes the burrs, maintaining the sharpness of your knife. And you would do that by holding the knife at about a 20-degree angle and swinging out, switching sides. And if you do this 5-6 times on each side, every time your knife hesitates when you're cutting something, your knives will stay sharp for months. I personally only sharpen my knives a couple of times a year for cooking classes. When they get really, really dull, I pull out the stone and I get to work. But I find that if I just maintain my sharpness with this guy, I don't have to do that frequently. So here's a little peek into a professional knife skill or a knife bag. Of course, if I was working in a restaurant, I'd probably have a boning knife. I'd probably have a paring knife. I might have a flexible boning knife for fish. I might have some fish tweezers to pull bones, pin bones. And I have all that stuff, but it's just not necessary for me to carry it on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully that answers some questions as to what's in the bag. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. You got it? Click that little button down there, the like button too. Clicky, clicky. Appreciate that. This is Chef Mark with Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in.